Each year brings its own sets of blessings, challenges, and lessons to learn, and 2020 had certainly had other plans. If we could take the pandemic away in an instant, we could actually do that, but we can't. And so instead we look for the silver lining that 2020 has offered. As we head into 2021, I can't help but reflect what I've accomplished, what I've overcome, and the lessons I want to carry with me into the new year. Here are 10 lessons I picked up along the way for the year 2020. Lesson number 1 is it's okay to be an overthinker. This means, people call it, a deep thinker, an overthinker, whatever you want to call it. It remains that you are a thinker. And most of the time, we suppress and hide that part of us for a long time because we are embarrassed about it, because overthinking is, used as a negative thing. But this year, I finally came around and have embraced it as a positive thing. I've had people very close to me, people who love me, flat out tell me that they don't think as deep as I do, and they don't understand why I make everything so complicated. But in reality, thinking deep about everything made me, want to have a gold standard in everything I do in life, eliminating, high level of mediocrity and such, which is, a huge bonus for me in my life. Earlier this year, I came across an article by Casey Main, host of Better You podcast, talking about this concept of why it's actually good to be an overthinker. And just to quote one part of the article that resonated well with me, is she says, we weren't an over anything. We see people and world around us as intricate and interesting, so we think, we reflect, we analyze a lot. Some may say it's too much, and that's fine, but we aren't here to actually float through life not giving a shit about anything. We are here to root out the reasons for our relationships and learn the lessons life throws at us. Our days are full of mysteries to solve, connections to make, and thoughts to explore. You might look at us and think we are making life more difficult, but I argue we are making it more meaningful. That is the quote from the article by Casey Main. And so have a look at it. So if you are an overthinker or you know one, understand that that is not a bad thing. It's just simply the way someone's mind works, and they can't exactly change it. All we can do is accept and embrace it. And to sum it up, alongside this is, be unapologetically yourself. You don't care about what other people say about that. Lesson number 2 is to make self-love a priority and not a privilege. In my experience, we can't fully receive and accept love until we know how to fully give it. But we can only give it to the extent that we are capable of at any given time or stage of our life. And that capability depends on how much we truly understand what love is. That is why I think self-love is so important. We practice, we fail, we learn, and try again. And that goes on and repeat until we get it right. Until we learn what love really is by learning to love ourselves, and then and only then we are able, and ready to give it to someone else, so we can receive it. After I read this book called The Self-Love Experiment, 15 Principles for Becoming More Kind, Compassionate, and Accepting of Yourself by Shannon Kaiser. In the book, Shannon walks us through, her own personal experiment as a simple plan, and a simple plan actually that compassionately guides you through the process of removing fear-based thoughts so you can fall in love with life. If you want to change your outcome in life, you have to change your daily habits and perspective. Shannon takes us through on this great journey into self-love and true self-acceptance. Be sure to check it out, and I will, the link in the description below. It will change a ton in your life. Bottom line, looking after your own mental health has to come first. To support your friends and family around you in the time of need, you need to actually be working from a strong base. Putting yourself as number 1 in your life takes space. Putting yourself in life, taking space when you need it, and saying no needs to be a priority in your life. It's like learning how to love ourselves right answers, the right to actually experience love on another level. So be sure to check out the book and get, to understand the theory or the understanding behind why self-love is very important in our daily lives. Lesson number 3 is actually to never stop learning. One of the great joys of life is to learn new skills, new languages, new recipes, new crafts, and new sports, and also new culture as well. You see, this year the world around us stopped us. If you aren't actively looking to learn new things, here are 3 reasons why actually you might want to rethink your strategy. Self-growth is key for us to live fulfilling lives and to have a successful career as well. And so reason number one why you start to learn is you become happier. Nothing is greater than reaching your accomplishment. If you're learning how to code and your codes are actually bug-free, then it's a sense of accomplishment and you actually feel super amazing about that. And reason number two is you become irreplaceable in your team. So when you have certain skill, you become irreplaceable. Number three is actually you'll stay humble, because the scholars are known to be the most humble people. And if I add on the number 4 point is you become a good teacher or a good learner, because it's only through teaching and learning new things that you can become more creative and all that. So that is really helpful, and in that case is like iron sharpens iron, and so you need to actually learn yourself so that you can be able to teach other people. You can be humble, you can be more happier, and that is the reason why we should always keep on learning in our daily lives, and it's very fundamental. So lesson number 4 is actually there is always a silver lining in every situation. In the heat of the moment, it can be very hard to spot actually that silver lining, but there is almost always a silver lining of opportunity. Look at this way, due to pandemic, I left China, came home and spent some quality time with my family, which in the last 9 to 10 years, I haven't had that opportunity because of my studies abroad and all that. I felt quite spending some good time with my little brothers and sisters, bonding and all that, home, and then changing that side project into a full-time hustle. Closed, offices and schools meant that more time with your kids and money, you save money on the commute and all that. More time at home has meant that you have more opportunity to nourish yourself with home-cooked meals. And as you can see, at least I gained 10-pound weight because mother feeds me well, and so I don't complain. Bottleneck of this is no matter how bad the situation might seem, there's always some good aspect to it, especially this year with pandemic and stuff like that. I learned that in any situation, there is something good in it for you. And right now, I have that as, as my mental default setup, so that every time situation comes up, I feel like there's always a silver lining in this situation. And lesson number 5 is life has different seasons. For the first stage of your life, from the time you are born to about your mid-20s, you grow and mature and all that. When you've grown up, it is, time to lay down your seeds and take action, the time to be building businesses, developing relationships, and, being a warrior out in the world. Usually, this season begins in your mid-20s and ends up in your mid-50s thereabout, give or take, a decade or so. And then the work you do in this period of your life all contribute to making of your harvest or your legacy. In the fall of your life, typically you reap what you sow in your mid-20s to mid-50s thereabout, because that is the summertime of your life. You may go through seasons of your life where you are really killing it in everything, and then life changes and maybe you realize anything you touch becomes a failure at some time. So it's all okay. We have to accept that seasons as they come and not beat ourselves, for who they are or who these seasons may be, or may change our focus and priorities in life. Viewing areas of our life as seasons helps me, remember this thing is actually temporary and not get frustrated about the season it isn't, but instead, focus what season it is and move on, because this actually reduces a lot of pressure on my mind. So because I know, this season of hardship is actually temporary, and then when the season is also going well, like it should not come to my mind that, it will always be like that. So I would just understand that everything is temporary, everything is seasonal, and I focus at the moment that I am at that moment. That's lesson number 5 for us. And lesson number 6 is, it is what it is. I used to use this phrase all the time. Then me being, an overthinker, I came to realization that I was in control of my life, and therefore I could make it, what I wanted it to be, rather than just throw my hands up and say, it is what it is, as everyone says. Then I had, Byron Katie say in an interview that, the moment we begin to argue with reality is when we begin to suffer. So it got me thinking a lot about this entire thing of it is what it is. So in the interview, she went on, to explain that something is either your business, someone else's business, or God's business. So how you live your life, from how you dress, what you do, to your beliefs and attitudes is your business. And then how someone else lives theirs, everything they say, decide, or believe is, their business. And then what's about God's business then? So, well, that's pretty much everything else that's remaining, from the weather to when we come into this world and when we live it. So it's when we overstep into business that isn't ours that we suffer a lot. So when we stress, worry, and even get upset over things that we can't control, they just are what they are. So we want them to be, different rather than just accept, they are the reality. You see, that is the suffering. But there's a good news, we do have some control. We can control what someone, says or does, but we decide what we say or, do back to them. We can't control life, difficulties, life throws at us and all that, challenges, losses, difficult times, difficult people, but we can decide how we react to it. So how we view it, how we feel about it, what we do with it, that is the control. So yes, sometimes it is what it is, but the good news is we always pick it up from there. So it is what it is. Take a case of this YouTube video. My work is, to research, shoot, edit, and upload the video. The business of views, and getting subscribers, I don't have control. So you guys decide what to do. Then there's God's business, which in this case is, the YouTube algorithm that, somehow rank these videos and make it, appear in your feeds and make it viral or trending, which is for sure I'm not in control as well. So the focus is what my business is, and that has brought some sense of clarity in what I do, where I spend my time, my focus and energy. So this also as well put a lot of pressure off your horizon, so that you only focus on your business, forget about other people's business, God's business as well. You only focus on what is your business, because other people's business is literally none of your business. And lesson number 7 is to actually be consistent. You can make all these New Year resolutions in the world, but following through is a real work. We are byproducts of actually our actions, not our goals. So if you want something to happen to you, and only you can make it happen. So mastering any new skills, starting a new business, renovating a space, or saving for future travel, takes time. So the most important thing is actually to start today and be consistent. Overnight success is actually a very big myth. If you dig into any success story and you realize it's a decade worth of, hard work, perseverance and all that. See, building any substantial of work requires long time. So this coming year we'll churn out 2 videos of high quality videos every week, to keep it consistent, and you guys will be my accountability coaches as well. And so for sure this channel will grow tremendously unless, some mysterious algorithm, go to work against us. But I hope to be consistent by churning out every week 2 videos at least. And so I'll be consistent like that. So by the end of the day, I'll expect to have almost 104 videos on the channel. And so by doing that, I'm sure the algorithm will as well favor us, and the channel will be successful, and we'll continue churning out these videos year in, year out. And lesson number 8 is show your work. Earlier this year, I read this book called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon, on why it's actually very important to share your work with the world, and which you'll build some level of audience around what you create. Therefore, you'll have this feedback loop, either good or even bad. But even if it's bad, bad feedback, it might lead you to a new path that actually you never expected. He continues and says in the book that in order to have this kind of connection, we must allow ourselves to be, seen. You need to put yourself and your work out there, and you will start meeting some amazing people around the world. And as it simply puts it, I'm going to be sending out my daily dispatch every day, either in form of, short videos, either, one-page article, book reviews, and for sure this small daily dispatch will have, compound effect over the time for a period of a year or so. And yeah, that is the most important lesson I picked from this book by Austin Kleon. Make sure to check it out. It has tremendous lesson for you guys as well, and you'll definitely enjoy it. And lesson number 9 is actually homework for life. I picked this from a serious storyteller, Matthew Dix, in his books called Storyworthy. He talks about this concept of homework for life. He likes to create a spreadsheet of, storyworthy moments throughout his day, Matthew writes down, the dates, some words to remind him, of the events or the encounters that is actually story-worthy, or even a sentence or even a phrase, such that at a later day he can actually remember it. Otherwise, this entire thing will be, forgotten completely. So this greatly helps as a content creator like me. You will not even run out of story or even content to make year in, year out. The book as well talks about the science of crafting a compelling story, which is, plays a very big role as a content creator. Make sure to check it out. Storyworthy by Matthew Dix. It's very, very interesting book that you will enjoy. And that is it from us this year. Please subscribe to the channel, like, comment, as it helps the channel grow. Happy New Year, stay safe, and see you guys next year, 2021. Bye bye.